This is the 2017 Toyota Yaris. It's come a long way since its birth in 1999, and you can see with this latest model that Toyota have really made an effort to bring it up to date. With an X-shaped design at the front end, quirky 15-inch alloy wheels, and a sporty little spoiler available, it looks like the Japanese manufacturer has tried to appeal to a more youthful audience. We think that the Yaris looks pretty smart and fits nicely into the super mini category with a width and height of around 1.5 meters and a length just shy of 4 meters. On the inside though, things aren't quite as modern or funky. Yes, there's a 4.2-inch touchscreen monitor up front, and yes, the infotainment system is really easy to find your way around. However, there are two really annoying issues which shouldn't really exist in 2017. Firstly, the touch sensitivity is too weak, meaning you have to press quite hard to register your command. And secondly, this being the biggest issue, there's a delay every time you touch the screen. From menu to menu, the movements aren't smooth and there's a regular lag. It may not seem like such a massive issue, but for me there are very few things as annoying as slow technology. Imagine if this car review that you're watching right now was buffering every few seconds. And then of course there's the questions that your friends and family would ask when they saw the clear delay on the infotainment screen. Have you let the dealer know about this issue? Could you not afford a decent screen? I thought this was a brand new car. Aside from the infotainment screen, the cockpit in general is made using cheap feeling materials and dull block colour panels. We appreciate this category isn't the most luxurious, but competition like the Mazda 2, Volkswagen Polo and Ford Fiesta, for example, all manage to include some flair and personality on the inside, so we can't help but conclude that the Yaris's interior design falls towards the bottom of the super mini category. This specific car doesn't even have the entry-level active trim. No, it has the superior Icon level trim, which comes with a reverse parking camera, Bluetooth connectivity and air conditioning, for example, and you really would expect more visual excitement from a car in this day and age, irrespective of the price range. Other trims include the Icon Tech that has sat-nav and front parking sensors, design with bigger 16-inch alloy wheels, tinted windows and that rear spoiler that we mentioned earlier, Excel, which includes Alcantara seats, and the top of the line Bitone that comes with a dual tone paint finish and colour matched features. But the point is, by today's standards, even the cheapest of cars shouldn't be this basic inside, and you shouldn't have to pay an extra few grand just for a splash of colour on the interior. On a more positive note, the Yaris's boot space isn't that bad. With 286 litres, it's not class leading, but it's not that far off, and at a squeeze, you can actually fit in a few golf clubs. The boot's lip, combined with the car's short height, means that you may struggle to grab things from the very back, but that's about the only potential issue, and for bulkier items like suitcases, the rear seats fold down to open up an extra 482 litres. Interior space too is a plus. Rear passengers have just about enough head and leg room to sit comfortably, and there's no transmission tunnel in the middle taking up footroom. The seats aren't leather, but they're not uncomfortable either, having a fairly embracing shape, and the manoeuvrability isn't bad too. There's no automatic movement, but if you pull these traditional handles down the side, you can recline a perfectly unsafe distance. This particular car has the 1.3 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine. Now, it's not the fastest of the range, because that would be the 1.4 litre diesel that gets from 0 to 60 in 10.8 seconds. It's not the cheapest of the range either, because that would be the 1 litre petrol There's RRPs for £12,495, whereas this one RRPs for just over 16k. Nor is it the greenest, because the 1.5 litre hybrid engine can achieve up to 85 miles per gallon combined. Instead, this variant gets from 0 to 60 in 12.6 seconds with this automatic transmission and 11.7 seconds using the manual transmission. It's also able to achieve up to 58 miles per gallon combined. So I suppose you could say it's the mid-range crowd pleaser of the entire range. And you can lease this version for, on average, between £250 and £350 per month. That's based on a 3-year personal lease contract with an annual mileage allowance of 10,000. Now, I'm sorry to say that is an unexpectedly high price per month, especially considering the RRP of this car, which is £16,295 with the Icon trim. So if you thought that the Yaris's shortfalls in terms of interior design and drive excitement, for example, would be made up for with value for money, you should probably think again. The Yaris has long been the mature driver's super mini of choice because historically these cars are so easy to drive. And I'm pleased to tell you that nothing has really changed. No, it's not going to excite you or sweep you off your feet with acceleration, but it will allow you to sit back and relax with soft suspension and responsive braking. Not to mention that there are quite a few adjustment options for comfort and convenience, including with obviously the seats and with the steering wheel column. Visibility is great too, with big windows, small pillars and a nice gap between the rear headrests, not to mention a fair-sized rear view mirror. Ride smoothness is also good. It's obviously not a quick car, so you wouldn't expect it to be thrashing you around, and it's not the type of car that you'd be throwing around corners either, but worth mentioning nonetheless. Now on to the negatives. I've heard a lot of people talk about the Yaris and how it has really light steering, and unfortunately though, I'm going to completely disagree. For a car of this size, I actually think that the steering is unexpectedly heavy, so that is a bit of a disappointment. It's not annoyingly heavy, but it's just not what you'd expect from, as I say, a car of this size. Then you have the cabin noise, which you can probably hear over every single word that I'm saying. It really is atrocious, particularly as you'd expect at higher speeds and on bumpier roads. It's difficult sometimes in those situations to speak to your passengers because there is that much exterior noise, particularly from the engine. It's one of those cars that will force you to put the media volume really high without even thinking about it because you can't hear the music or radio itself. That too is an unexpected disappointment. And then you have the inclusion of paddle shifters in a 1.3 litre petrol. The inclusion of paddle shifters in small cars like this is about as useful as David Hayes' right ankle in the ring. We would much prefer to see the paddles removed and replaced with something that's actually beneficial, like sat-nav as standard, for example. Another pretty big issue for us is the absence of an upfront display, just to show you things that the trip computer calculates, like your average miles per gallon or your miles covered, for example. It's pretty standard nowadays, and considering the Japanese are known for their technology, it's just not up to scratch. You can access certain information like that, including the average MPG, using this main screen up front, but realistically, no one's going to do that because it's inconvenient to have to go to this main screen to access it. While I'm talking about the main screen, as you can see, it's over an arm's length away from me, which is a bit annoying, especially if you're on the move, and typically it has that vibration that means that when you are on the move, it's difficult to push any of the buttons. In conclusion, whilst the Yaris is a reliable and sensible Japanese super mini, it lacks the finesse and indeed the technical capability that a lot of its competitors offer. It seems like Toyota have tried but failed to appeal to a younger market as opposed to just the mature market that they already had. Like with this infotainment screen, for example. Right idea, but wrong execution given the lack of speed and responsiveness. It's not an outrageously expensive car by any means, but there are definitely other super minis out there offering better value for money. And as a result, it gets a 2-star from LeaseLowdown, the lowest rating we've given so far. If you found this review useful, then please do show your support by giving it a thumbs up and hitting subscribe just up here. Feel free to visit our website leaselowdown.co.uk for more automotive content, and don't forget to give us a follow on social media as well to stay updated with the latest industry news. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.